the reason why I'm doing this is because I think we fundamentally don't listen enough to what people are saying or how they use the platform, and I'm trying to do it in a grassroots kind of way, like just because it's going to help us understand what are people using YouTube for, and what are they thinking about it.
You want me to recap a little bit of
Yeah, that would be great.
So I think I started out asking you if where you worked, and you said YouTube, and I said something like, thank God for YouTube, or what a blessing YouTube has been for our whole culture. It's hard to imagine the time when YouTube didn't exist, which was not that long ago, and all the possibilities that it has created. And as we've progressed in our conversation, I think I got to talking about how much some of this stuff pisses me off. And I hate that I'm 60 years old, and I hate that I've kind of been forced to expand, to include, to learn new technologies. But these new technologies have been instrumental in helping me do things in my life. And one of the things that really upsets me is when my friends will post to, say, Facebook that they're just coming out of Starbucks with their cappuccino or their frappuccino, and isn't life great, or something like that. Just not acceptable. And you mentioned the etiquette, that we haven't established an etiquette yet for how to use these things. And I think that's absolutely true. And once we do, it'll be a better place, I think, when we do. And then people know that you're wasting people's time to say you're coming out of Starbucks with your frappuccino.
Yeah, agreed. Tell me about the event, Tax the 1%, or Tax the Ones.
Yeah, Tax the 1%. That was Saturday, October 29th, 2 weeks ago tomorrow, and I had this. I've done 8 or 10 of these events over the past 5 years, and this one I started planning probably thinking about it about a year ago, and knowing that I wanted to do an event this past October in order to set up another, I believe, bigger event next October in the run-up to the presidential election. And I've organized all my past events alone, pretty much, a lone wolf, but I didn't want to do this one by myself. Putting one of these things together can just kill a guy. And so I called my friend Andrew Boyd, who's at the other 98%, and asked him if they would partner with me, and they did. And they are very plugged into all this social media, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. They know how to use those in ways that I really don't. And what airline are you headed to?
Delta
thing. And so they got this out. They got it into the network. They got it to Credo Mobile. Put out an email about this. Democrats.com, the Courage Campaign. These are people I never could have accessed on my own, but through Andrew's group, the other 98%, I was able to. Those people used their email addresses to get news of their email list, to get news of my event spread, and in the end I wound up with the 1,000 people necessary to make the event happen.
Wow.
So I'm in a in a situation where I can't not use these tools, and they make my life so much easier, and I just love them. And thank God I don't have to write a letter to every single person I know inviting them to come to my events. I can punch a couple of buttons now, and it makes it seem easier than it is, but I can at least get the word disseminated a little easier.
Did you use YouTube at all for this?
Well, absolutely. There's a great YouTube. At the end here, I'll write down the link for you.
Sure.
And I used it in the run-up, in the follow-up to it. I don't think we used it in advance, but we absolutely will be for October, the election of October of 2012. Because the video that was made about this event will be a great pitch for the next event. I think it's going to get blasted kind of into the blogosphere, whatever we call this new territory, by those groups that I mentioned and other groups. It may even turn into a national event. Because I was part of the impeachment movement, and one of the very first event I put on, we got 1,000 people coming to that same spot, Ocean Beach, San Francisco, and we spelled out with our bodies, impeach, ! 2 days after Nancy Pelosi became Speaker of the House. And the news of it went worldwide. CNN took the footage from that and took it worldwide. It was everywhere for a little while. We really thought we were on our way to impeaching these criminals who were in our government. But so 4 months after that first event, we had events in 130 cities nationwide doing impeach, and there's people spelling it out using their bodies. And so I'm kind of envisioning, and it hasn't come together yet, but I'm kind of envisioning that something national may come of this. I've got a permit from the Park Service, or I've got an application for a permit from the Park Service to get 50,000 people to Ocean Beach next October 13th. And so I'm going to have to get a little bigger and learn a little bit more about this social media landscape in order to make this whole thing happen. And I'm going to need all the help I can get, and I'm sure YouTube will be
good,
a big part of that.
Cool.
And all these other groups that know so much more about using YouTube and all our other tools than I know.
Quick question for you.
Sure.
How do you see YouTube as being different from the other social media? Like, how would you use it differently, or how does it play a role in your life differently?
Let me just answer the first one first. How do I see it as different? Well, my initial thought with the impeachment movement and spelling things out was to give a visual. When I was part of the impeachment movement, there was all this angry bluster, words, gazillions of words, people yakking at each other, but there was no visual. And I said, we got to get a visual. So I created that event. And that's the short story of it. But in the same way, that's how I see YouTube is better than the other media, different, because you can click on a YouTube link and you can get so much more information through someone talking. You can see their face, you can see their body posture, and you can get their message in a way that is different than reading. I like to read. I'm a writer as well as a cab driver, but and the visuals are so powerful, and you can see there, it's hard to look at that postcard and go, your reaction was the same as everybody's. Like, yeah, oh wow, and then they hear that, oh cool, that's big, but it's 1,000 people, and you can't not look at that.
It's the first time I have seen the movement, and it looks organized in sending a message.
There's been that complaint about the Occupy movement, that it's disorganized and it doesn't have a clear message. Anyone looks at that says that is organized, and it's pretty clear. It's a clear demand, and it's organized. So I kind of was, yeah. So it's getting a lot of play. It's making its way through the internet and the alternate media. You had more to your question?
Oh, just how do you? I think you've said it well, very very well. Okay. But how do you use YouTube differently than the other mediums?
I think we're all still discovering. I mean, it seems it's so new. We're still. I almost never watch TV, but I watch something on YouTube 4 times a day anyway. And I'm not a guy who I don't feel plugged in. I'm 60 years old. I don't feel like I don't have a smartphone. I'm a guy who watches YouTube 3-4 times a day. Somebody sends me a clip that you got to watch this, and I do, and I get my news there too. From Jon Stewart or Keith Olbermann, those people, and the various clips that people send me. I watch them on YouTube.
Cool. What's your name?
I'm Brad Newsham.
Newsham.
Yeah,
Quick.